Okay, children, good morning, children. Today we are going to start the new chapter, chapter number 3. That one we are discussing. What is that one? Tissue level organization. What we are going to discuss? Tissue level organization we are discussing. Okay, children, now the tissues. What is tissues? We are going to define. What is the tissues? Group of cells. What we call group of cells. Okay, the tissues group of cells that are similar that are similar in structure and perform common or related functions. Okay, related functions are called tissues. Okay, children, this is the most important. Okay, tissues are perform. The tissues will be converted into, very well, organs. Okay, tissues are organized in specific proportions and pattern to form organs. So these organs like what? Organs like lungs. Okay, children, heart. Okay, kidneys, and ovaries, and what we call testes, etc. Tissues will convert into organs like these all are. If two or more organs perform common physical and what you call chemical functions. Common physical and chemical functions, they are called what are they called? They are called organ system. What we called organ system. This point you should have to remember. So examples of organ system: what? Digestive system, respiratory system, respiratory system. Okay, children, digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system. Okay, circulatory system and excretory system. These all are examples of organ systems. More organs contain different types of tissues. Next, more organs contain different types of tissues. This point also you should have to remember. More organs contains different types of tissues. Okay, and their arrangement what do you call? And their arrangements. This point also, and their arrangement determines the organ structure and functions. This point you should have to work organ structures and functions. So next, the study of tissues is called the study of what you called tissues is called what you call the study of tissues is called histology. The study of tissues is called histology. And next one complements the study of what you called gross anatomy. Gross anatomy. This point you should have to remember, gross anatomy. Okay, children. Together they provide gross anatomy. Next important structure what we are going to discuss is together they provide the structural basis. Together they provide what is called structural basis. Together they provide structural basis for understanding what is called organ physiology. What is called organ physiology. This is the point you should have to remember. Okay, children, observe very carefully. We have to discuss the next concept is tissue level organization. What is the tissues? Tissues means group of cells that are similar in structure and perform common or related functions. Similar in structure and perform common related functions are called tissues. The group of cells that are similar in structure. Group of cells. This point you should have to remember. The tissues means group of cells that are similar in structure and perform common related functions are called tissues. Very important bit. So it's a need bit. Next, tissues convert the tissues togetherly form which one? Organs. Tissues and development tissues togetherly forms the organs. Organs like what kind of organs? The tissues will be formed. The organs like lung, heart, kidney, ovaries and testes. This kind of organs are formed by the tissues. There are two or more organs perform common. Okay, listen carefully. Two or more organs perform common physical, chemical functions. They are called organ system. What I said? Two or more organs perform common physical or chemical functions. They are called organ system. Examples of organ system: digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, excretory system. So next point is more organs contain different types of tissues and their arrangements determines the organ structure and function. See, all organs contains different types of tissues and their arrangements determines the organ structure and function. So different types of tissues are there in the organs. Their arrangement determines the organ structure and functions. The study of tissues is called, another important bit, the study of the tissues is called, what you call the study of tissues is called histology. The study of tissues is called, another need bit, the study of tissues is called histology. This histology complements the study of gross anatomy. The histology complements the study of gross anatomy. Anatomy means complete structures. Okay, complete internal, what you called systems, internal parts like that. Next, together they provide structural base for understanding organ physiology. What is the meaning of physiology? Complete detailed information and complete how they will be work, how they will involve in the reactions. Everything will be determined by the help of organ physiology. So the study of tissues is called histology. That complements the study of gross anatomy. Together they provide structural basis for understanding organ physiology. So anatomy and physiology. Okay, children, this is the most important. Internal structure study is called anatomy and their functions, their performance is studied by the studies in the physiology, different systems, organ function, organ involvement in the actions, that is detailed by the physiology. So these all are a basic information about which one, the animal tissues. This one you should have to remember. Okay children, you know very well the cells performs the, you know what is that, cell is involved the structural and functional. Cell, what is the cell? The structural, okay, the structural and functional unit of the body. This one you know very well, functional unit of the body. So the cells, group of cells involved in the cell division, cell forms which one, group of cells. Group of cells perform togetherly forms tissues. Tissues togetherly form organs. Organs togetherly form organ system. This organ system togetherly form, you know very well, particular body. So cell is the basic, and without tissues there is no organs, no organ system and body. So tissues to organs are forming, organs to organ system, and organ system togetherly forms the body. So this is the tissue level organization and the tissues introduction. Now we are going to discuss about animal tissues. Now what we are going to discuss? We are discussing about animal tissues. Okay children, what are the animal tissues? We are going to discuss now. Animal tissues. Animal tissues. So observe very carefully. Animal tissues. What kind of tissues are there in the animals? We are going to discuss. So animal tissues are classified. Animal tissues are classified. Animal tissues are classified according to according to size. According to size, this point you should have to remember. Shape and function. Shape and function. Organ system. Animal tissues are classified according to the size, shape and function of the cells. This point also you should have to remember. There are four primary tissue types. Four primary tissue types. This one also you should have to remember. Four primary tissue types. Okay, four primary tissue types. Okay, so the tissue types that what you called interwave. Interwave. This point also you should have to remember. Interwave to form the fabric. What you called fabric of the body. What you called fabric of the body. This point also you should have to remember. Fabric of the body. They are the first one what? Epithelial tissues. What you called epithelial tissues. Number one, epithelial tissues for what? Epithelial tissues for what? Covering. Epithelial tissues for covering. This point you should have to remember. The next one, the connective tissues. What do you call second one? Connective. We call connective tissues. What are the connecting tissues function? The connecting tissues helpful for, you know very well, they will helpful for support. Next one, the muscle tissue. What is called muscle tissue. The muscle tissues helpful for, you know very well, most important, the muscle tissues are helpful for movement. And the fourth one, you know, the connecting what is called nervous tissue. what you called nervous tissue. Nervous tissue helpful for control. Okay, control and coordination. Okay, children, these are the main important tissues. Okay, children, now we are going to discuss about the tissues table. Classification of, what I'm writing here is a classification of animal tissues. Classification of animal tissues. So classification of animal tissues mainly divided like this. What I said, the first division is, what I said, epithelial tissue. What do you call? Epithelial tissue. The second one is called connective tissue, and the third one is called, what is called, muscular tissue, and fourth one is called neural tissue. What is called? Neural tissue. So what about epithelial tissue? The epithelial tissue again divided into two types. What are the epithelial tissues divided into two types? Number one, what are those? Simple epithelial tissue. Okay. Number two, compound epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissues and compound epithelial tissues. The simple is squamous. The simple is squamous. Okay, this point you should have to remember. Simple is squamous. Squamous. This point you should have to remember. The second one is cuboidal. Squamous, cuboidal. The third one is columnar. Columnar. And the fourth one is ciliated. Ciliated. And the fifth one is pseudo-stratified. Pseudo-stratified. This point you should have to remember. Okay. Squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, pseudo-stratified. And compound epithelium is divided into two types. What are the compound epithelium? Number one, stratified epithelium and transitional epithelium. Okay, stratified epithelium, transitional epithelium. The stratified epithelium will be considered as most important one, squamous epithelium. Number two, cuboidal epithelium. Number three, you know very well, columnar epithelium. Okay, so this squamous epithelium again divided into keratinized, what you called keratinized epithelium. Another one is called non-keratinized. What you called? Non-keratinized epithelium. So like this, there are types of epitheliums are there. Okay, children. Now we are going to discuss about animal tissues. Animal tissues classified according to the which one? Size, shape, function of the cells. Size, shape, functions of the cells. The animal tissues are classified. So, four primary tissue types are there. How many? This is the most important. Four primary tissue types are there that interweave to form fabric the body. So, they are interconnected and forms the fabric to body. Total body will be formed. So what are those four primary tissues? The four primary tissues are, number one, epithelial tissue. Number two, connecting tissue. What's the function of epithelial tissue? The epithelial tissue helpful for the covering of the body, so which covers the body, and connective tissue which will supports the body, and muscle tissue which helpful for the movement of the body, and a nervous tissue which helpful for the control of the body. So epithelial tissue for covering, connective tissue for support, muscle tissue for movement, and nervous tissue for control. So now what we are going to discuss about the classification of animal tissues. How many tissues? Number one, the classification, first one, epithelial tissues. Okay, epithelial tissue means covering tissues. Next connective, this muscular, next neural. The epithelial tissues first we are going to discuss. The epithelial tissue divided into simple and compound. The epithelial tissues divided into how many types? Simple epithelial tissues and compound epithelial tissues. The simple epithelial tissue, number one, squamous, number two, cuboidal, number three, columnar, number four, ciliated, number five, stratified. squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, stratified epithelium. These all are under category of simple epitheliums. Then compound epithelium, stratified and transitional. The compound epithelium divided into two types, stratified and transitional epithelium. The stratified is again divided into three types. What are those? Squamous, cuboidal, columnar. The squamous epithelium again divided into two types. What are those? Keratinized squamous epithelium and non-keratinized squamous epithelium. Okay, children, once again I am telling to you classification of animal tissues: epithelial tissues, connective tissue, muscular tissue, neural tissue. Epithelial tissue divided into simple tissues again five types: squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, pseudostratified epithelium, and compound stratified and transitional. Stratified again divided into squamous stratified, cuboidal stratified, columnar stratified, and squamous is keratinized and non-keratinized. Non-keratinized based upon which one? The size and shape and function of the cells. Size, shape and function of the cells, the animal tissues are divided. So children, today we will start with the epithelial tissues. Okay, what is called epithelial tissues. Today we will start with which one? We are going to discuss about epithelial tissue. What is epithelial tissue? What are the functions of epithelial tissue? We are going to discuss. Okay, children. First one, epithelial tissues we are going to discuss. Epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues. This point you should have to remember. Epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissue is a sheet of cells. What I called sheet of cells. Sheet of cells that covers the body. That covers the body. This point you should have to remember. That covers the body surface. Covers the body surface or lines the body. Lines the very important, lines the body. Okay, lines the body cavity. So this point you should have to remember. Next important one, it occurs in the body as a covering. It occurs in the body. It occurs in the body. What I said, as a covering. As a most important thing, as a covering, as a next, as a lining. Okay, as a lining epithelium, as a lining epithelium, and a what I said, glandular. What is called? Glandular epithelium. This point you should have to remember. Glandular epithelium. The functions. What is called? The functions of epithelium includes. This point you should have to remember. The functions of epithelium includes. What are those? The functions of epithelium includes: number one, protection. Number two, absorption. Protection, absorption. Number three, what you called filtration. Number four, very important, protection, absorption and filtration. So these all are most important what you call functions, and also they perform excretion. What you called excretion. Number five, what I said, number five, secretion and sensory, and what I said, sensory, most important point, sensory reception. Okay children, these are the things you should have to remember. Based on the structural modification of the cells, next point, based on the structural modification. Which one? Structural modification. Based on structural modifications. Okay, children. Based on structural modification of the cells. Modifications of the cells. Okay, this point you should have to remember. The epithelial tissue. The epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues. This one also you should have to remember. Epithelial tissues are classified into very important simple epithelium, what you called simple epithelium, and what you called compound simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Okay, simple epithelium and compound epithelium, or compound epithelium is also called what I said, stratified, what you called epithelium. This point you should have to remember. Okay, children, what I am telling is, first we are discussing about the epithelial tissues complete picture. Epithelial tissues, the sheet of cells that covers the first point, covers the body surface or lines the body cavity. Spaces are lined by the epithelial tissues. Okay, it occurs in the body as a covering and a lining. Okay, epithelium, and also so it occurs in the body as a covering, as a lining, epithelium, and a glandular epithelium. Glandular means in the glands the epithelium is present. The functions of epithelium includes, what are the functions of epithelium? Okay, covering and lining of the cavities I said. Then what are the functions of epithelium? The epithelium functions includes protection, absorption, filtration. You know, protection means which will be protect us from the different structure, different harmful things. Okay, and absorption means in the digestive system absorption process going on, no? That is by the help of epithelial tissue. Filtration means, you know very well, it filters in the kidneys like that. Excretion means eliminate the waste materials, and secretion means digestive secretion, some gland secretions, and sensory reception in the sensory organs for the sensory receptors is made with these epithelial tissues. Based on the structural modification of the cells, structural modifications, okay, structure and modifications of the cells, the epithelial cells tissues or epithelial tissues are classified into how many types? Simple epithelium, compound or stratified epithelium. Simple epithelium or compound epithelium. Simple epithelium and compound epithelium. The compound epithelium, another way this is called stratified epithelium. So the functions of epithelium, what I said, protection, absorption, filtration, excretion, secretion, and sensory reception. So next class we are going to discuss about simple epithelium in detail. So next class what we are going to discuss? We are discuss about simple epithelium in detail. Thank you, children.